Over the past week, Russian troops have launched a series of combined strikes against enemy targets in the territory of the so-called Ukraine. For the first time after a long break, a raid was launched on Kyiv, where several enterprises were hit. And on Friday, for the first time since the spring of 2023, Russian armed forces inflicted a massive strike on energy facilities in 10 Ukrainian regions. In Kharkiv, 3 urban substations were hit, as well as the main generating stations in the region, Kharkivska, CHP-5, and Zmyivska, TPP. In Zaporizhzhia region, Dnipro HPP turned out to be under fire. 2 missiles hit the central and western parts of the HPP-2 engine room. The other 2 struck the dam, damaging rail tracks, 2 gas pipelines, and power transmission lines. In turn, Ukrainian units carried out several attacks on Russian rear facilities. In Saratov region, enemy drones were intercepted on approach to Engels airfield. In Samara, a Ukrainian drone attacked Kuybishevsky oil refinery. A fire broke out at the facility. This has already become the 15th enemy attack on the facilities of the fuel and energy complex over the past month. AFU launched a massive strike on the Crimean Peninsula, involving at least 12 tactical aircraft. In Sevastopol, hits also fell on Sevastopol Bay, the former building of the Black Sea Fleet and civil infrastructure. During the whole week, the border areas of Belgorod region also suffered. Dozens of civilian facilities were damaged in the region. At least 10 civilians were killed and more than 20 wounded. Meanwhile, severe fighting continued in the Special Operations Zone in several sectors of the front. In North Ukrainian direction, the enemy conducted personnel training and fortification work. In Slobozhanska direction, by the end of the week, AFU finally stopped ground attacks at the direction of the border in Belgorod region. Against the background of the offensive failure, the Ukrainian command withdrew part of its forces from the line of contact. Positional fighting continued in Kupiansk-Svatove, direction near Sinkivka and nearby settlements. Russian troops attacked the enemy's forward positions using artillery and aviation. In Lyman direction, Russian troops made several attempts to advance in the direction of Terny. As a result of one of the attacks, the assault groups managed to expand the control zone to 200 meters along the Laptov Yar towards the village. Fighting is still going on in Siversk direction in Bilohorivka area, where Russian armed forces are trying to seize the territory south of the chalk quarry. Nevertheless, the enemy retains control over the dominant height, which makes it difficult for Russian troops to advance. Near Bakhmut, Russian units managed to liberate Ivanivske after several weeks of fighting. And to the east of Klishchiivka, the control zone in the area of Alabaster Pond was expanded. In Avdiivka direction, Russian troops sweep the rest of Orlivka and Tonenka. At the moment, fighting is going on in the nearby forest plantations, where AFU have built one of the defense lines. To the north, Russian military personnel are conducting assault operations in Berdichi, trying to eject the enemy from the western outskirts. Ukrainian units periodically counterattack, trying to prevent the loss of control over the settlement. In Donetsk direction, the enemy launched several counterattacks at the beginning of the week and pushed Russian armed forces units back to the southern outskirts of Krasnohorivka. However, later Russian units managed to partially regain control of the lost positions. In Vuhledar direction, the assault on Novomikhailivka continues from the south and east sides. Ukrainian units are putting up stubborn resistance, literally clinging to every house. In Vremivka direction, Russian assault troops knocked out the enemy from one of the plantations southwest of Staromayersky. Ukrainian units also launched several counterattacks, but each of them was successfully suppressed by small arms and artillery fire. Fierce fighting continues in Zaporizhzhia direction in Robotyne, where Russian fighters managed to advance in the center of the village. And to the northwest of Verbov, Russian troops managed to expand the control zone to a depth of 200 meters in a week. In Kherson direction, shooting battles continued in the area of the automobile and railway bridges, as well as in the northern part of Krinky. At the same time, the enemy continues to try to land reinforcements on the islands in the Dnipro River Delta.